I'd like to welcome everybody to the Town Council meeting, Monday, July 22nd, 2024, 7 p.m., McKinnon Council Chambers. Agenda item number 1, pledge allegiance. Roll call.
Councilor Lazo.
Present.
Councilor Montigny.
Present.
Councilor Chenier.
Present.
Councilor Daniel.
Present.
Councilor Dow.
Present.
Councilor Kelly.
Present.
Councilor Marquetti.
Present.
Councilor Ortiz.
Better late.
He's going to be late.
He's going to be a little
Okay,
late.
thank you. And Councilor Rivas. Present.
Moving on to agenda item number 3. Consider and accept the Town Council meeting minutes of June 27th, 2024, July 8th, 2024, reorganization meeting, and July 8th, 2024, regular meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes of those meetings? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstention?
I have to abstain from the 27th. I wasn't here.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 4. Subcommittee reports, Department of Public Works.
No report, but I'll be calling a meeting in the future. I'll get together with the town manager to make the appointments for the citizen members.
Moving on for Education and Human Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was a meeting last week, and there are a few items tonight that I will speak to.
Moving on to C, General Government. Councilor Kelly.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. There was a meeting on Thursday of last week, and there are several items on the agenda tonight from that meeting.
Moving on to 4D, Planning and Development. Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, we had a meeting on Thursday, July 18th. Items 13, 14, and 26 through 30 were discussed.
Moving on to C, Protection of Person and Property. Councilor Dow.
No meeting at that time. Thank you.
Moving on to Chairman's announcements. I just would like to thank Councilor Rivas for giving us the Girl Scout cookies tonight. I thank you very much. Not that my waistline needs it, but they are my favorites, the ones that you've given us. Thank you very much. It's going to be a long night. My announcements are short. Moving on to Town Manager's announcements. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, just announced today we received an announcement that we were awarded the CDBG grant for 2024 in the amount of $925,000. That grant proposal was for us to redo North Street and Mechanic Street. So we'll be working with the DPW as soon as we get that as grant documents for that project. Additionally, we have closed out FY24, not the full closeout, but have turned the page to our FY25 in our accounting system, so all departments are able to process invoices. This is quite ahead of last year when I took office in August of the end of August. Also, in regards to that, we have started our audit for this year already. We did not start the audit procedures until late in the year, so we are already in the audit mode. And that is all I have right now. Thank you.
Moving on to presentations, agenda item number 7. Are there any presentations by anybody? We do not have any. Moving on to Citizens Forum. Are there any citizens that would like to address Town Council on any issues that are not on the agenda? Ms. Paquin.
Pamela Paquin, 16 Ellis Road. Thank you for having me. I have 5 minutes, right?
You have 5 minutes, and if you'd like an extension, I'm sure that the council will extend your time.
Okay. As some of you know, I serve on the planning board, but I come to you tonight as a citizen. I am concerned because I've been following some events in town recently with regard to the Italian Club and a lack of application for permit for an approval that's required for the extension of their parcel in the parking lot. And as such, there's been no application as yet for the permit. So I wanted to take you through the events, just so you have the timeline. So in March, the planning board took a vote requiring that the Italian Club come before the planning board for a site review and permit approval because they changed the use. In April, a letter was written and sent to them and received by Susan Monaco April 4th. So certified letter. May 13th, they were informed that they would not be able to receive a tent permit for their event, I believe this past weekend, until they came before the planning board and addressed the issue of the site plan alterations. And then June 28th, the town received a letter from their attorney demanding a tent permit, threatening a lawsuit on the building inspector, and they gave no date for sitting before the planning board. I believe at that point, and Jack, feel free to jump in afterward, I understand that the town manager spoke with Mike Julian to look into it, to get legal counsel from KP Law. There was no response, and so they ended up just giving the Italian Club the tent permit, despite the fact that they still had not come before the planning board to look at the alterations that they'd created on the site that were over a year old. And it was about parking and a parking lot that they had created and paved. So this effectively castrates the planning board and our oversight and sets a precedent so that any developer or any property owner that comes into this town, buys a parcel, can change the property, can affect stormwater runoff, can pave things over, can start building, and not have to come before the planning board and not have to have permission. I have a problem with that because our town has a master plan. We need to abide by it. We have bylaw policies that were written and approved of by this council and the council before you, and we need to be able to follow those laws and implement them. But we can't do that if people are just told that they can do what they want and they don't need to come before the planning board. And there are no penalties for not coming before the planning board. And I'll get to that later because I was issued cease and desist letters for having 6 chickens on 4 acres. I was issued a cease and desist for running a short-term rental on my house. I didn't realize, of course, that I needed a permit, and immediately within a month I was before the planning board in both circumstances so that I could run my business and so that I could have my chickens. I responded to those cease and desist letters because I was out of compliance and I needed to be brought into compliance. And that's what I did, and I respected the process so much and the fairness of the planning board that I joined up into government because I want to see more of that happen, and I want to see bylaws written for the good and held up for the good of this whole town, the people who own the parcels and the people who abut them. So I just want to take you through these past 4 months of the bylaws that are currently out of compliance. So I'm just scrolling down to them. Okay, per section 2.2.2, section E, parking area designed must be approved by the Department of Public Works. That has not occurred because the plan has not been submitted. Per bylaw 7.1.5, section H, the approval of any decrease in parking or in required off-street parking must be supported by a parking analysis, which has not been approved because it's not been submitted. 7.1.5, part 2, the planning board may impose conditions over time if the use changes, which has not been granted because it hasn't been applied for. Bylaw 7.2.2, section F, off-street parking shall be designed and approved by the planning board to maximize pedestrian safety and reduce impact on the community character and the district, as well as natural resources. This has not been approved or permitted because there's been no application. Bylaw 7.2.6, site development standards, were not followed as there was no application prior to the area being paved and used for over a year. Per bylaw 7.1.6, shared parking. Even if the Italian Club has an agreement with the Center for Hope to share parking, the shared parking arrangements would have to be approved by the planning board and given a special permit and then recorded at the registry of deeds. That hasn't been done because there's been no application. So, there's no application. What do? What happened to me when I was out of compliance? Cease and desist. That's the easy mechanism through which the Italian club can then be encouraged, given that they've not done so over the last 4 months, nor communicated once with the planning board that they're coming up with a plan, or that when they want to attend with us, giving us a date of when they will be there. If you don't want to communicate with us, if you don't want to talk to us, if you don't want to come up, then you need a cease and desist. That's how we handle these situations for compliance. And if we're going to do it to our normal citizens, we should be doing it to the businesses. I know they've been here for 70 years, and I saw in the letter that the attorney wrote that they say that they've been an upstanding and supportive member in this community, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. I love the Italian Club. I love what they offer, and I wish we had more of them like that in town. However,
Chair,
they still have an obligation.
excuse me, Chair, I'd like to extend
comply.
the time for her.
There's a motion by Councilor Dow to extend the time.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you.
Extended time.
Okay. I mean, I'm basically gonna wrap it up. We all deserve to be treated equally under the law. I am seeing what's happening with this situation. I want it resolved, and I would like to see the Italian Club come to the planning board and submit a proposal so that we can put this all behind us, so that stormwater regulations are adhered to, so that the character of the community and the neighborhood is adhered to, so that whatever agreements are between the Center for Hope and the Italian Club can be okayed. I think it's all decent stuff, but when you don't come before us and you don't tell us what's going on, then it's a cease and desist. That's what happened to me as a business and as a citizen. It's what's happened to other people in this town, and I'm at a loss, and I'm waiting for somebody to do something about it, because clearly we are impotent and castrated at this point as a board, and we can't serve what you require us to serve as a town council. That's my concern as a citizen. It's what I'm seeing.
Thank you. Sound good?
Thank you. Thank you for all the information, Ms. Paquin. I did have a call with the chairman of the planning board earlier today regarding this whole issue. So there is a lot to unpack, and there's more to certain questions and files that cannot be found. So we are researching the information, and we will make sure we handle it accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item number 9, vote to accept the warrant for the state primary on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion? No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make an emergency motion to suspend the rules and add agenda item 9A. I'd like to add agenda item vote to approve change order number 2 to Piapi Construction for road improvements 2022 contract, extending completion date of work to June 24, 2024, and authorizing a balancing change order in the amount of $42,497.54, incorporating the final payment quantities of underruns and overruns for the project, raising the total contract price to $1,128,912.54, funded through the roadway paving account project and the Winter Recovery and Assistance Program, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Discussion on putting it on to the, there is no discussion. Roll call.
Councilor Chenier?
Yes.
Councilor Daniel?
Yes.
Councilor Dow?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Lazo?
Yes.
Councilor Marquetti?
No.
Councilor Montigny?
Yes.
Councilor Rivas?
Yes.
We've waived the rules to add the agenda item. Mr. Vice Chairman?
I could read it again if someone wants to make a motion in a second. Again,
Is there a motion? By Councilor Dow, seconded by Councilor Senya. Discussion on the motion that's been added on the change orders. Councilor Rivas, then Councilor...
Just curious as to why this is being put on now, or kind of just giving an overview to us?
Yeah, so we have been working to close out the Gulfwood Road and Ellis Road project. And in reviewing it to close it out, to issue the final payment, when the pay apps came in, we were doing the balancing of those to make sure that we had the appropriate accounts reconciled. And today, we had a meeting to be able to issue payment for the Ellis Road portion of the work. And I'd like to thank Piapi Construction and his staff, as well as my staff, for the working together to try to resolve this. What we found is going back to 2022 and the pay applications, the town was carrying a pay app, and the payment applications was carrying a balance that should have included a second change order. So the authorized contract amount was $42,000 more than what we had as change orders. So it was a going back to the paperwork on this project. We found that the balancing of those contract items, it's quantity based. So we were needed to do the change order. So we already had the funding in place. It was just putting the change order into the pay application so that we could issue the final payment.
So this was already budgeted, a budgeted item at that time?
There was funds available from the winter recovery road project that was here previously, as well as the bond money that was borrowed for the project. So the funds were there. It was just a matter of the contract documents, and goes back to when Matt Desjardins was here previously, and the second change order evidently never made it to council. And when we were looking and reconciling these pay applications, that's when we noticed that we would have to do a second change order to make sure the quantities came into place, because that contract was a quantities in time based contract, and it was the quantities for additional gravel. And I know Mr. Piapi has done a great job in that project, and has probably, and I know has probably put more money into it than he is charging us for.
Thank you.
Councilor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Councilor Rivas asked the same questions that I was going to ask. Just was curious why this didn't make it to a subcommittee.
We were prepared to issue the final payment, and then when we did the reconciliation this morning with his staff, found that this change order needed to be done. So we had the check ready to go, but we then realized that we had to make sure that the appropriation and the documents match. So that's why it's last minute.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Piapi, would you like to approach speak into the microphone?
Mr. Piapi is going to tell us that balance and change orders are normal, and I have to say that the education that I have learned, I'm not a Department of Public Works person, but the education that his staff has provided to us as to how pay reconciliations go in and how the pay applications go in place, it's a learning experience, and I think moving forward, because we have new staff in the DPW as well as the town hall, it was a good educational experience for us.
So this is really a special change order. This is standard to close out a job to make everything match. You know, the other thing I'd just like to say is, some of you guys are under the impression that we made a mistake on a pay app. And I think Jack's having a hard time understanding. We didn't. It was just some confusion because we had multiple pay apps, because we were asked by the town to change the language on some of them to accommodate the funding sources that you have. And it was a little disappointing to have Joe tell me that that we screwed up a pay app, and that's not the case. But it's been a learning experience, and we're happy to help, but it was very frustrating.
I'll echo that Mr. Pioppi's thing. This project has been very frustrating because there have been so many moving parts. That went from Moon Street, Crescent Street, to Ellis Road, to Torrey Road, to a bunch of different locations that it's been
Change of people and
change of people and staff. So going forward, I know speaking to the DPW director, we won't, I think if you saw, we canceled the bid for the various roads, the last one, and went specifically street by street. This is the exact reason why.
Councilor Downs and Councilor Senior.
Thank you, Chair, to you. I'm glad the issue resolved. We're all on the same page, and Mr. Piappi getting paid. I'm just asking, I know all new staff and new experience, you know, regarding read the bills, how, you know, terminate which one for what and which one for what. My concern too is not only Mr. Piappi, is a lot of other bill is being delayed. If we can look to them and move forward and pay everybody we own, and we will be nice and clean, and we can start a new page in the future. Thank you.
Councilor Senior.
Yes, from the tone of the emails that we got over the weekend, I can see the frustration by all, and then truthfully, some of the emails I didn't appreciate reading. Will this close out that altogether, and we're done with Ellis Road and Gulfwood Road?
This is the final closeout, yes.
Okay, and it's actually more than 42,000, correct?
No, it's just the
check.
change order.
Oh,
Oh, the
that's
check
just-
is, yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, and I have to agree with Councilor Dow. I mean, I know we've had many discussions about how the building was done in the past and to where we are today, but I still think personally that we need to improve it even much, much more so we don't end up in these things that happened. And I know you're working on that.
Yeah. Just to that, real quick to that point. As of last week, every bill that was sent into our office for FY24, a payment has been issued.
Okay.
So there are no outstanding bills unless we're waiting for bills to come in for anything that was billed out for FY24. And last Thursday, we opened FY25 so that they can stop paying the bills. And all departments have been advised that they need to have everything in by Wednesday so that we can run a check next Tuesday.
Okay, great,
So,
great. Thank you, Mr.
Hopefully that's
Alexander.
correct, because historically, you know, I work primarily for municipalities, and Southbridge has been by far the most frustrating to deal with in getting paid and the process it takes, and even in processing, what I hear from the department heads, in processing simple invoices. So hopefully, this is going in the right direction.
Thank you.
I think one of the things that has changed, I hope we do not continue the revolving door in some of these positions on downside. Mr. Pioppi, I just want to say thank you for the concessions you made during the project with the new DPW head, and you did a fabulous job, and I know that there was a lot of giving by your company to the town. I know you do a lot for the town, lend various pieces of equipment to us for no charge. So this is something that there's a relationship here that when I talk with Jimmy Pioppi, we're trying to make it better for the town. The fluid pay system is, we've been working on, we're still working on it. It's just like the tail end of it. And we're tired of the tail wagging the dog needs to wag the tail. I mean, that's the best description I can, and Jimmy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you did over there. Any other discussion by any other councilors? Councilor Kelly.
Just to be clear, these $42,497 on the change order, this is not in excess of the appropriation or allocation for this particular project, is that right?
there was monies that were allocated, no. Yes, you're correct. There was not an over allocation because we did, in the previous change order, utilize the RAP funds. So, yes. We are within the appropriation for the road project.
Thank you.
That's the reason why the holdup and the urgency was because I wasn't able to issue the check. Under the charter, I cannot issue any check or issue any payment to any vendor if we don't have a positive balance. And I was not going to issue the check, regardless of the paperwork, until we clarified and made sure we were all in agreement.
Councilor Kelly, it's been a frustrating one as far as the accounting part of it and the paying part of it. Change orders, I'll use Main Street as an example. There were many change orders. But at that time, the change orders would come up to council right away. They'd be voted on. They'd be done. This change order, on behalf of the town, we do the change order, not Mr. Pioppi. And it didn't happen. And Mr. Pioppi offered up his staff that will do the change order and give it to the town. And it's just the kind of guy he is. But I think we've got it down pat where going forward, I hope that we do a better job on our behalf, moving forward. That's the best thing that I can hope for. I'm an optimist, but I think we really need to sometimes change how we do things in the accounting office. But they're being worked on. Any further discussion on this issue? If not, all those in favor? Oh, roll call.
Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Counselor Dow?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Lazo?
Yes.
Counselor Marquetti?
No?
Counselor Montigny?
Yes.
Counselor Ortiz?
Yes.
Counselor Rivas?
Yes.
Counselor Shenyer?
Yes.
8-1.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? I'm having difficulty hearing
Oh,
today, and I don't know if it's the speakers out there or maybe it's me. I understand I'm getting old, but it's having difficulty tonight.
yeah.
For the record, Councilor Ortiz is here.
He arrived at 7:20.
For the record,
Yeah.
Madam-
Somebody's out there.
Madam Secretary, for the record, Councilor Ortiz is present.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 10, vote to approve the reappointment of Gil Provost to the Education and Human Services Subcommittee for a one-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2025, state ethics in good standing.
So moved.
Second.
Is a motion second? Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was discussed at subcommittee, and he was recommended unanimously, and I can't say thank you enough for every year putting your name in since I've been here. Thank you, Mr. Provo.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? One opposed? Moving on to agenda item number 11, vote.
Say thank you. Say thank you.
You're welcome, Gil. Vote to approve the appointment of Denise Clements to the General Government Subcommittee for a one-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2025, state ethics in good standing.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Dow. Discussion. Councilor Kelly.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. This matter was discussed in the General Government Subcommittee on Thursday and voted unanimously.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda item number 12, vote to approve the appointment of Derek Julian to the General Government Subcommittee for one-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2025. State ethics in good standing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz. Councilor Kelly?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. This matter was discussed by the General Government Subcommittee on Thursday and unanimously approved.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 13, vote to approve the reappointment of Catherine Bernadone to the Planning and Development Subcommittee for a one-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2025, state ethics in good standing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz. Discussion. Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Both items 13 and 14 for Catherine Bernadone and Dolores LaRochelle were unanimously approved, and we're very happy to have them both back on the committee again for another year.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 14, vote to approve the appointment of Dolores LaRochelle to the Planning and Development Subcommittee for a one-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2025, state ethics in good standing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Senior, seconded by Ortiz, and it was favorable at subcommittee. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, of all present. Moving on to 15, vote to confirm the town manager's appointment of Gary Fontaine as a full-time member of the Liquor Licensing Board effective immediately through June 30th, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. Council Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, this matter was discussed at the General Government Subcommittee on Thursday and unanimously approved.
Thank you. Councilor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I wasn't able to attend the meeting, but Mr. Fontaine is replacing Mr. Splain on the committee. Was there some reason, did Mr. Splain not want to serve anymore, or was there some reason that we're replacing him?
It was a decision that town manager made to make a change in that board.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, of all present. Moving on to 16, vote the adoption of job description for the position of urban forester as required for implementation of the Arbor Day Foundation grant.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz. It was favorable at subcommittee. Discussion? Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, this matter was discussed at the General Government Subcommittee on Thursday and was voted 2 with 1 abstention, 2-4 with 1 abstention in favor.
Thank you. Favorable. Discussion? If none, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, of all present. Moving on to 17, vote to add the urban forester to Schedule 5, Town of Southbridge Classification Pay Plan.
So moved.
Motion by Senior, seconded by Ortiz. Discussion.
Thank you, Mr.
Kelly?
Chairman. Through you, this matter was discussed at the General Government Subcommittee on Thursday and approved unanimously by all present.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, of all present. Moving on to 18, vote to confirm the town manager's reappointment of KP Law, PC Attorney at Law, as Chief Legal Advisor to the Town of Southbridge effective immediately.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz. Council Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, this matter was discussed at the General Government Subcommittee and unanimously approved by all present.
Favorable
call.
of subcommittee. Discussion?
Roll call, please.
I'm sorry.
Just roll call.
It's a roll call, that's all.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Counselor Dow?
No.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Lazo?
Yes.
Counselor Marquetti?
No.
Counselor Montigny?
Yes.
Counselor Ortiz?
No.
Counselor Rivas?
Yes.
Counselor Shenier?
Yes.
And Counselor Daniel?
Yes.
Motion passes.
6 yes.
Moving on to 19, vote to classify the position of special counsel to the town council as special municipal employee for the purpose of MGL C268A.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Dow. Discussion. Council Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, this matter was discussed at the General Government Subcommittee on Thursday and was unanimously approved.
Favorable subcommittee. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 20, vote to confirm the town manager's reappointment of Manerick and O'Connell, attorney at law, as special counsel to the town of Southbridge, effective immediately.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Council Kelly.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, this matter was discussed at the General Government Subcommittee on Thursday and unanimously approved.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Number 21, vote to confirm town manager's reappointment of Mead, Tellerman, and Costa LLC attorney at law as special counsel to the town of Southbridge effectively immediately.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Council Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, this matter was discussed at the General Government Subcommittee meeting on Thursday and unanimously approved.
I would just like to comment on Councilor Kelly's subcommittee. I'd like to say you run one hell of a meeting, orderly, cross the T's, dot the I's. Welcome aboard. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 22, vote to approve. Vote to approve returning the following funds to the opera account. $20,000 catering services for the senior center, voted on by the town council on 9/25/23. $130,000 for Henry Street baseball lights, voted on by town council on 2/27/23. $5,000 on Opeckham Land Trust tree planting, voted on by town council on 9/25/23. $367.34 support for social, emotional, and mental healthy students, vote on by the town council on 5/6/24.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dow, seconded by Shinya. Discussion. Council.
If I may, I'm on the APA committee with Councilor Marquetti and a former member of the council, Dave Adams, and if I'm wrong, let me know. We brought these issues to the APA committee and voted to return those funds and make a recommendation to return those funds to the APA. And I believe also that former council Dave Adams notified all these people of that return and suggested to them if they wanted to fight it, they could come here tonight. And
That's correct.
Council Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, councilors, and town manager. The $367.34 is for the sending the cheerleaders down to Florida. That was the remaining balance when we were all said and done. When it came to, they were not informed, just so you know, basically because the town paid for it right there and then, and everything's already been covered and closed out already. $5,000 for Opeckham, for the heavy equipment to bury some of the trees or dig up the ground for the trees. Talked to Steve Brady already about that, Opeckham. They were good with bringing those funds back. And that was a 3-0 vote, just like the 367, that was a 3-0 vote. $20,000. Katie is already aware, we have about $21,000 left for the food, the catering over there at the senior center for the remainder of the year. And the purpose behind that was the fact that they're charging the seniors about $5 per meal. And once that's done, they'll have a nice little nest egg. And plus we have the revolving account. And the $130,000 is for the Little League lights. That was a 1-2 vote in favor of bringing the funds back because did not meet the requirements of what we issued in the first place. It was for the Little League tournaments to come in by the bylaws. It went from metal poles to wood poles. We informed our recreation director. I did talk to the president of Little League on June 16th as well, let him know about that, and invited him down here. That's it.
Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Council Rivas. Council Rivas had a hand up first. Council Rivas.
Mr. Adams answered those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair, through you. I have a small concern and question. I don't know if we can take some of the money, the libraries. I went there, first floors down below where all the children play. The ceiling is pulling down and it looks very unsafe. I wonder if we can take some of those arbor money and apply it to fix the library ceiling. Doesn't look healthy for these young children playing down there. And one more question, I don't know if Dave or Ms. Dean, she can answer. Henry Field is supposed to have a camera there. I'm not sure why it's not up yet. Henry Street Field should have a camera there. I don't know why it's not up yet. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Through you, we will check on the Henry Street cameras. I wasn't aware of that. In regards to the ceiling at the library, we do have it's paint. So we do have a spec already written, and that's the next project. We just got the community center door bids out the door today, and we'll be working on getting the RFP out for the paint for the library, and we'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Mr. Adams, thank you very much for your service on that committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Constantly giving back to the community. Is there anything else you would like to say?
Oh, I just wanted to mention that we have a meeting on the 25th, this Thursday. There's quite a few items being requested from ARPA as well. But just to let you know, we have about 5% of the ARPA funds after tonight remaining, which totals about $251,000. But I know we have some big projects that are being requested here on Thursday as well that will come to the town council probably at the next meeting. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote, President. Moving on to 23, vote to approve combining ARPA funds already approved by the Town Council, upgrade Town Hall communication infrastructure of all phone lines and phone lines to fiber optic. Vote on by the Town Council 6/27/22 for $100,000 and design and build broadband network for the Jacob Edwards Library, voted on by the Town Council on 2/13/23 for $100,000 for upgrade to the town server/network and money fiber project to the town buildings, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion. Town manager?
Just, I think I've discussed this a couple times. This was just taking the library portion and the town hall portion, combining it to $200,000. That will then go for the overall project of fiber optics with the library Muni Fiber. We received the community compact grant, plus this funds, plus some additional funds to do the Muni Fiber. This would allow us, because we have to spend this money or have contracts in place by the end of this fiscal year, this, by combining this and renaming it, will allow us to do the first step in here in the town hall while we go out to bid to build the Muni Fiber, which is on capital and grant funding. So it's just a matter of us being able to utilize these funds first, get it under contract, and then it'll give us to the end of next year to spend it. But we know we can get this under contract as opposed to the Muni Fiber, a whole project for the library.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 24, vote to renew the South Central Mass Partnership for Public Health Intermunicipal Agreement for the Public Health Excellence and Shared Services Grant, and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Senior, seconded by Dow. Discussion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was not recommended at Education and Human Services last week. Thank you.
Discussion. Council first. Wait a minute. Go ahead, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did support this collaboration, coalition. I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't have a problem with it. We have a lot of other coalitions in town, a lot of intermunicipal agreements in town. Even, the Veterans Department, Police Department, Fire Department, we all are in some sort of coalition organization. Even the town council, I think, is, I mean, I look at the MMA, and to me that's the same thing, an intermunicipal organization. So I don't really have a problem with it. If the council wants to vote it down, well then, you know, that's your prerogative. The only issue that I have is that the Board of Health did vote in favor of this, and then I see that the health director is opposed to it. And in my opinion, the health director should always support what the Board of Health has voted for. That's, if the town manager did, if we voted for something and our own town manager went against us on it, it just wouldn't look very good. To me, it just loses credibility and trust, really, when you have a health director that, for some reason, continues to be opposed to something that the Board of Health voted for. If I was the Board of Health and a director did that to me, I would probably ask for his immediate resignation. So I don't think it's a good thing to have a health director and the Board of Health not working together on something, and I think he should have supported it 100% once they supported it. Thank you.
Councilor Rivas?
So I watched the EHS meeting. I also spoke to someone who had called me, and I forgot his name, just giving me some more information about the grant. And anytime that, as town councilors, we can save the taxpayers money and provide training, right? We have a lot of new Board of Health members that require training. There's a lot of different issues that they come across that they do need this training. And anytime that you can get that at a savings to our community, I'm curious to hear from the health inspector why they would be against the Board of Health being educated in a way where they can help that person's role that much more in our community and save the taxpayers money on things that, services that later on, as the town manager had mentioned in that meeting, that they might have to come back and ask us to fund later on. So I don't see a problem, and I am in favor. I do want to hear from the Board of Health Chair, and I do want to hear from other speakers that are going to talk about this, but I think that it is a benefit to our community. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Roland Larochelle.
Good evening, councilors, Mr. Town Manager. Is that better? Citizens. My name's Roland Larochelle. I'm the chair of the Board of Health. A little bit of history on this. Our June 13th meeting, one of the agenda items was to renew this contract that we've had for the last 3 years. During the tenure of this contract, it was used several times for a health nurse for tracing, as well as to cover the laws that were required for inspections when the last director departed prior to the new director being hired, at no cost to the town. This is a grant that's available. I consider it no different than the ARPA grant that you just spoke about. It's an insurance policy. A community has to ask for help on certain items. If the community doesn't ask, the grant doesn't go to the community. Nothing is forced. We had a meeting on the 13th. We were given a contract that is still in existence. And the director, and I will tell you for myself and a few of my other members, we were ready to vote yes on the June meeting. The director came up and gave his speech where he was adamantly against it. The board backed the director and voted no. Then information started coming out of the woodwork. I don't like knee-jerk reactions. I reached out, I did research, I contacted other towns. Some towns dropped out, other towns stayed in and could not praise this program enough. Reached out to our assisting association, which is the Mass Association of Health Boards. The coordinator, Mr. Robichaud, who's in the audience, came and gave us an updated contract, gave us a breakdown of what this program is, allowed us to badger him with questions, which he answered. The board took all this information, and we decided in the best conscience to help the town, for the health and safety of our citizens, that we voted unanimously 5-0 to support this contract. I know anybody who looked at online, the subcommittee did not go well. There's a lot of councils against it. This is not DESI coming in to tell us what to do, and if you don't like it, here's the road. This is a grant, no different than any other grant. So I am here in support of my board, in the support of our duties of Board of Health, for the safety and health of this communities, which will also branch out to our neighbors. And I'm here, I don't think it's going to change the vote. I'm not stupid. I've been around for a long time. But I want the public to hear our side. That being said, I have a Mike Hugo, who is the Policy and Government Relations Director from our association, the Mass Association of Hazardous Material, my other job, the Mass Association of Health Boards, that is here in the audience, and I would like him to come up to assist me if he can fill in the holes that I missed or answer any questions from the board or anybody else. If he
Do I hear a motion to waive the rules to allow the gentleman to speak?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dow, seconded by Senior. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Thank you. Mr. Chair and members of the council, my name is Michael Hugo. I am the Director of Strategies and Government Relations for the Massachusetts Association of Health Boards. By way of background, I served 15 years on the Framingham Board of Health, 8 of them as chair. I've worked with MAHB since I retired as a lawyer for the past 4 years, and through COVID, I was slowing things down. And then about a month after I joined MAHB, we had COVID, so I didn't get to slow anything down at all, as you all know. So my concern is this. I have watched the video of the first meeting, the June meeting of the Board of Health, and I have watched the meeting, the video of the subcommittee meeting on education and, I'm sorry, is it education?
Human Services.
Human Services the other day. And I have taken meticulous notes, and I was mortified. I've never seen a health director, and I have no idea what the motive is, but I've never seen, in my experience, a health director appear before a Board of Health and spew more misinformation, disinformation, and personal interpretation of a grant in my life. I've never seen this. This is unprecedented. At this point, there are 2 other towns in the Commonwealth that are withdrawing from the grant as of the moment. Although Newburyport is the first. Newburyport's mayor has indicated that she wants to get them back in, and MAHB is working with DPH to try to get them into that grant. The other one is Douglas. That's one of the more local ones. They withdrew because there was they considered there to be misfeasance on the part of the inspector, and they didn't want anything to do with that inspector. However, today, I spent a portion of my day today talking to other grant groups about absorbing them into their group because they really want back in. They never wanted out. They just couldn't deal with that particular dynamic. And this is the third municipality out of 321 that are participating in the 51 grant groups across the state. This is the third town that wants to secede from the grant. What you're giving up is $1.5 million already funded for the next 3 years for shared services. This is not regionalization. This is not districting. The Mass Association of Health Boards has been at the table since the day this grant was conceived. And we fought vigorously to keep the autonomy of boards of health, and we told the DPH that if they wanted to roll out a program where any board would give up any of its autonomy, they'd lose our support, and they honored what we were asking for. Your board loses no opportunity to make its own regulations, to enforce its own regulations. The shared inspector, should that inspector come into Southbridge and write up one of your restaurants, that shared inspector will report to your Board of Health using the electronic platform that's already been purchased, and I understand put in a closet in your health department at this point. But the state's already bought you the hardware and the software to do uniform inspections so that everybody is held to the same standard in your town. I don't know why this is even an issue in a town like this, where I thought, honest to God, I came to town on Friday, I drove through this town, I was expecting to see Stockbridge, because I always thought Southbridge, Stockbridge, they're both kind of cool. What I saw was Worcester. I saw downtown Worcester. I saw triple deckers. I saw people on the streets that didn't look like they had a place to go. I saw kids that were out playing literally on the roadway. And I said to myself, this is the town that we should be making a poster child for what this grant can do. There is a shared social worker who has been hired by this grant and has not stepped foot in your town, in your city, town. I'm sorry, you're a council, so I keep thinking of you as a city. This social worker is trained in hoarding, in nutritional issues for starvation and food challenges, trained in housing, and trained in doing outreach to BIPOC communities to try to make sure services are rendered equally across the entire town. That person does not step foot in your town because your health director has said, we don't need that. When I see those buildings, I know who lives in triple deckers. They're people who used to live in perhaps a larger house and brought all of their stuff with them when they moved, and it's still in that triple decker. You can't tell me you don't have a hoarding problem in this town. You can't tell me that where you have, I think it's 14% of your population is 65 or more, you can't tell me that you don't have seniors who need services. You can't tell me you don't have shut-ins. And if you don't think you do, it's because you're not looking, which means you're not serving. This grant is asking for nothing from you. Nothing flows from this town to the grant. It all comes from the grant to the town. And I know that Attorney Kelly over here is going to ask me a question in a moment about a provision in the IMA that says that the town that exits will be assessed with any charges for any money that's due on the exit, and that can only happen if the grant is misused. And that's one of the reasons that we have seen one town that tried to exit and do a clean exit, but they had been supplanting. They let go of their nurse, and they were saving $17,000 on a nursing contract, and they figured, we're going to get out of this grant now, and they had to return the money before they were allowed out. That's what that provision is for. If you are doing the grant properly, the money's coming to you, and you have no obligation whatsoever. There's not money, it's services that you're going to be getting. I don't understand for my life how this council can turn down $1.5 million to be used only for your local public health, for your health department. I don't get it. It's just beyond me. There's 3 towns, and in each of those towns, it comes down to an issue with the director. Directors are afraid of 2 things. They're afraid of somebody looking over their shoulder and saying you're not doing it right, which they're not going to get from the state. They're going to get from the other towns in your grant group. They're going to say, well, we don't do it that way. Maybe you should try this. That's one of the, it's director paranoia, for lack of a better term. The other reason directors tend to want to stay away from this is that they're afraid of the fact that under the new workforce standards that have already been passed before this program existed, there are new workforce standards, and they're afraid that they're going to get caught up in the red tape because your director doesn't qualify to be a health director under the new workforce standards. I'll repeat that. Your director does not qualify. Now, I don't know, again, I started by saying I don't know what his motive is for trying not to get into this grant, but not being in this grant is not going to protect him from that. What's going to protect him from that is that the town manager and the chair of the Board of Health are going to ask the Commonwealth for a waiver, which will be granted because he's a health director already. They're not out to destroy workforce, they're out to build it. So there's no reason on earth that this board could have for voting this grant down. It doesn't make sense. I know I'm going to say free money, and I know, Mr. Chair, you're going to say, I've heard about free money. There's no such thing as free money. This is free money. Ask any one of the other 321 cities and towns that are participating in the grant. And if you want time to check it out, I would beg this council to table it and have a chance to check it out. I'm happy to come back. I'm happy to meet one-on-one. I'm happy to talk to anybody that it takes to let you know what this grant is really about. Question.
Any questions, Council? Councilor Keller?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So I've gone through the agreement here, and I have a number of concerns. First of all, I did speak about the termination clause at the subcommittee meeting. And it does concern me for a couple of things, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I mean, some of these are parochial in that we are not a select board, we are a council. There's a significant difference in the law. The withdrawal provision would require both the select board or the chief executive officer and Board of Health to agree. Frankly, I would say that if this council decided we wanted to terminate the agreement, we should not have to be concerned with what the Board of Health thought on the matter. We should not be, if this council decides to terminate an agreement, we're out, bottom line. The second thing that concerns me and that I would highlight here is in section 6A-E. It talks about each municipality will assist in collecting the necessary data as agreed to by the committee and pursuant to the data reporting policy established pursuant to Section 5 of this agreement to help meet the goals of the Shared Services Program and Grant Program. I have no idea what kind of burden that puts on our town employees and how much that will cost us, because I'm sure that's not part of the grant money. So there are some things I think that need to be addressed in this agreement, and I just want to say for the record, I'm neither for nor against this at this point in time. I am generally in favor of, or I generally see the benefit of sharing some services. I think it's highly important, however, that that the town retains control of its employees and staff. You know, here, this seems to me that apparently Webster is going to be the lead agency on this matter and will be, so any of the employees, such as inspectors and nurses, will actually be vetted through Webster and hired by Webster, and we'll have inspectors coming here from Webster inspecting our citizens. So I'm a little concerned about that. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry.
Okay, if I may, Mr. Chair. The way that hiring is done, well, a neat little fun fact is that when this grant program was formed and I was attending the formation meetings, the person from DPH that was forming it made a statement that this isn't for everybody, it's not for Boston, it's not for Springfield, and it's not for the islands. And I said, whoa, 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 what do you mean not for the islands? Well, they don't talk to each other. There's 6 towns in Martha's Vineyard, they don't talk to each other. In that meeting, I said, I am stepping up to volunteer to be the shared services coordinator for this island group, and I'm going to form it, and it's going to work. Okay, and that was on February 18th, 2020. And if you remember, March 18th, 2020 was the date of the COVID emergency. So this program all predates that. When I took on that commitment, I had 6 towns that the health directors talked, but no one else talked to each other in the governments between those 6 towns. And we were able to form a coalition that works. It is the model coalition. 2 hires that we've made out of kitchens, kids, 25 years old, hired out of kitchens to become our inspectors. The first one lasted for 10 months, and 10 months after we hired him, he became the health director in the town of Tisbury. Never anything in public health before. The second one, we thought that was marvelous. The second one, it only took 5 months to the day from the letter of offer for him to become the new health director in Edgartown last week. So this is how the program works within. Now the way that we hired is, and this is how it works in 51 of the groups. The host community posts a job, and the other communities, if they want to post it, they can. The job applications come in to Dukes County, and they're sent directly to my email as the Shared Services Coordinator. I go through those resumes, and anybody who's interesting to me, I call up and ask, do a little quick screening ahead of time. Do you have a place to live? On Martha's Vineyard, if you don't have a place to live, you don't have a place to live. We have 50 people who are living in cars there. So, do you have a place to live, and what type of commitment are you prepared to make? I screen those, and I bring 4 in, and 1 representative from the governance board, which could be any of the health directors, myself as a shared services coordinator, and the personnel director for Dukes County, because they're our host, meet with them, with the 4 for the first time. Then 2 are advanced to the full committee, which is each of the health directors, and each of them has an alternate, and that includes Nantucket. So there's actually 7 voting members. They vote. That we do an interview with that group. They vote. They do the hire, and then Dukes County, the day after I send the letter of offer, Dukes County onboards that as a new employee, and they get processed. All of the payroll, the back end, the OPEB, everything is covered by the grant. And so Dukes County spends $0. None of the host communities spend a penny, including, by the way, you had mentioned council versus select board. This contract was vetted by KP Law. We worked very hard with KP Law on this. They should have picked up, they didn't. I can only say mea culpa on their behalf. It got by them. We're dealing with KP Law on every one of their clients with the same agreement. This was actually drafted partially by KP Law, by Meade Tollerman. Their fingerprints are all over this too. And they're all involved. Every municipal firm is involved in this agreement. There's nothing that comes out of the host community, including those legal reviews. And if there's 6 towns, it could be 6 different lawyers. The grant pays for that. OPEB, nothing is paid for by any town whatsoever. It's all factored into the budget, and it's all covered by that budget.
Thank you. Any other questions or new information? If not, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dave Adams. I don't even know how to do this one. Dave Adams, 1023 North Woodstock Road, Southbridge. Just real quick to the town council. I haven't got a chance to look at the contract, but I will say this. During the pandemic, I know it was brought up during the meeting the other day. During the pandemic, we were helped out through this agreement. Before the pandemic, we were helped out by this agreement. I know there's a comment the other day about 3 years delay between getting help from them and now. Well, that's what it's for. If you have a pandemic, you have a health crisis. We went for a long time without a nurse for the town. Long time. You talk about one of the highest teen pregnancy issues within the Commonwealth itself. And if we were to utilize the nurses, maybe that would help out our town just a little bit. So I would ask the town council, either if you have concerns about the contract, I think that should have been brought up a while back, and I understand it went through the Board of Health first and all that kind of stuff, through the select board or whatever it may be. And I don't know when you have to sign it by, or approve it or disapprove it by, but I would recommend that town council take a good look at this whole thing. They're not going to regionalize and force the town to do something that we're not required to, which I heard the other day during the meeting. I will say this, is they came in and asked when we needed help. I know this, we went out and asked when we needed a little bit of help. We're overwhelmed. And I can give you one thing, if I'm not mistaken, it also helped us during inoculation practices that we did before the pandemic even kicked off. People made a lot of fun of that, but I'm going to tell you right now, because it was about zombies and great stuff like that. But I will tell you this, when we set up that inoculation center with the help of Harrington Hospital, that came into play. And that wouldn't have happened, that would not have happened if we didn't have this type of agreement to work together as communities. We had it all set up. We didn't use the site for the inoculation center that we originally planned because things changed. But the fact is, we were prepared. And the town was prepared. And I will say, as part of the Emergency Operations Center, it was one of the best run emergency operations centers I've ever seen. And the inoculation site, we had people from Cape Cod coming all the way down here to get it inoculated. So I would highly recommend this go forward in a positive manner. I just ask you that you do that, councilors. Thank you.
Any councilors have any further discussion?
The contract, just so you know, your contract is expiring, so there seems to be this burning need to get one in place. I did mention that I took over on the islands in February of 2021 and 2020, I'm sorry, and we still don't have our contract. In fact, we do as of this week. It's the first time that we've completed our contract on the islands. The only burning issue is that the State Department of Public Health has announced that they will withhold the funding from any of the groups that don't have their contracts by October 1st. They will withhold the October funding until it comes in, only because they need to be able to account to the federal government. This is backed by $200 million in ARPA funding and $52.6 million in CDC funding and a $15 million a year line item in the Department of Public Health's budget. Thank you.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. What? You have a problem?
No, I thought he...
No, I'm the chairman. You sit there. Any other discussion, please? Stick to the issue. You got any,
That's what I
Councilor?
wanted to tell you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you. As I said before, I'm not necessarily opposed to this matter. I do have some concerns by what I've read in the agreement, and I feel that I don't really have sufficient information at this point to vote on it. So, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Councilor Gelli.
That's what happens when you're a trial lawyer. Mr. Chairman, I would ask to entertain a motion to table this matter to a future date so that we can get some more information and be more well-informed.
And what date might that be?
I would say by the end of August.
There's a motion to table this issue till the end of August.
Second.
A second by Marquetti. Could I have a roll call vote?
Counselor Lazo,
No?
Counselor Marquetti,
Yes.
Counselor Montigny,
No.
Counselor Ortiz,
No.
Counselor Rivas,
Yes.
Counselor Chenier, Counselor Chenier,
No.
Counselor Daniel,
Yes.
Counselor Dow,
No.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
4 yes.
Motion fails. Moving on to main motion. If there's no further discussion, I ask for roll call.
Counselor Marquetti,
Yes.
Counselor Montigny,
No.
Counselor Ortiz,
No.
Counselor Rivas,
Yes.
Counselor Chenier,
No.
Counselor Daniel,
Yes.
Counselor Dow,
No.
Counselor Kelly,
Abstain.
and Counselor Lazo.
No.
Okay.
Motion fails. Moving on to 25, vote to accept a proposal for the senior dance program for the FY25 as recommended by the Community Service Council of Aging Director.
So move. Second.
Motion by Dow, seconded by Ortiz, discussion? Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I thought we were going to get some information on this. I didn't have anything in my packet. I did go back and look and see when this was first brought forward, and I think it was January 2024, and it was for 30 weeks. So I'm going to presume that it's ending at the end of this month. And so is the next agreement going to be another 30 weeks, or?
This is a TAP program to run approximately 42 weeks beginning in September.
So this one's 42 weeks?
This is 42 weeks, yeah.
All right.
At 45 per class.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 26, vote to accept the Massachusetts Preservation Project Fund matching grant for $30,000 from the Historical Commission to complete the facility study of the town hall and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Dow. Discussion. Council Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was unanimously moved forward by the subcommittee.
Unanimous subcommittee. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to 27. Vote to accept the low bid for the Quinnebog Valley Rail Trail improvements from David G. Roach and Sons for $3,912,763, contingent on the Economic Development Administration approval, and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion to second. Discussion? If no, Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was also moved forward unanimously, 3-0, and the remarks that were made at the meeting included the fact that this came in under bid, and we're very, very pleased that we can do a little bit extra with the rest of the money.
Thank you. Any further discussion by Council? Town Manager?
I just think publicly we should thank Peg and the team for putting this together because, you know, there's been a lot of work over a number of years that she has worked very, very hard on this. It's been a huge goal of hers, and I thank her for all the work because it was a tremendous undertaking, a lot of emails and correspondence with a variety of individuals to make this happen. So without that, without her, I don't think we'd be at this point right now. And just want to publicly thank her for all that work.
At this point, I'd like to have Peg Dean come up, and everything that Town Manager Jovan said is spot on. And I'd like to thank you for all that you've done during this project when it was in its darker days.
Well,
Peg?
yeah, it's been my pleasure. I'm actually a little more mellow now. I feel like I had to champion this so hard, and I put so much time, energy, tears into this that I'm just so grateful. It couldn't have worked out better for the town. So congratulations to the town, really.
But for the citizens of Southbridge, to put the face at the microphone, to know who you are, is worth a ton.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peg. Any questions by council? If no questions, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much, Peg.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 28, vote to enter into agreement with BSC Group for $273,000 using the remaining Rail Trails funds from the Construction Administration Construction Oversight and Licensed Service Provider LSP services during the Quinnebog Valley Rail Trail improvements and allow the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Mr. Chair, may I ask, are we on the right agenda item? Aren't we on agenda item number 28?
8.
20, we didn't vote on 27.
Yes, we did.
We did?
We just slapped our hand.
I thought that was for the town hall preservation money.
No, that was
No.
for Peg's hard work on the
I'm sorry, my apologies.
No problem, Counselor. Discussion on agenda item number 28. Counselor?
I wasn't able to make the meeting the other night. I don't understand why we're spending $273,000 of remaining funds for construction administration, oversight, and licensed service provider. I thought we already provided those while this project was being developed and gone out for bid. So you could explain that for me?
If I may, through you, Chair, one of my very first projects, the Central Street parking lot, there was an alleged lack of oversight. The last thing we would want to do is under budget for all these services. The EDA is also adamant that we have what they see as appropriate oversight to ensure the project is delivered. The customary amount is 7%. The math for our $3.9 million project is $273,000. We have $273,000 in mass trails. Some things just feel a little too coincidental. It's absolutely falling into place that we have just the right numbers to be able to fund the construction oversight we needed. Initially, we were planning on having Eric Rumsey oversee some of the construction oversight, and if you'll recall, I came back to the town and said, I think we have an extra $100,000 in mass trails. That gives us that much more to be able to ensure we have the right construction administration and oversight. And so here we are. I haven't asked them for a contract yet. I wanted to first come to the town council and get the approval from you first before entering into the contract, well, before putting out any other message. Engineering and architecture are exempt under Chapter 30B. It's good practice for us to go out for RFPs for that, but because they've already done the feasibility study and the design, I feel like we should just go forward with them. So if the town council approves, we can go ahead, we have the funding.
If I may continue, you said it was for full oversight of the project, and my understanding from at least what I read, that the town is also providing 20 from the BSC group and 20 from the town. So how is that full oversight from the BSC group?
That is full oversight to the extent that is reasonable. If we were to ask for 37.5 hours of construction, we wouldn't have enough. But what I've written into the proposal is that they will direct us on what things to be looking for during the construction for us less knowledgeable about the engineering. And so 20 hours is a substantial amount of oversight.
But the town is also going to be providing, I believe, if I read the paperwork correctly, 20 hours of oversight also.
I don't think that I ever, excuse me if I may through you, Chair.
I
don't
might
want to
be
get
reading
into a
into
debate.
it.
If I could, I'll provide you with, or I'll have to look back and get back to you. I don't believe that we stated the amount that the town was going to be inspecting. I think that we just stated within their scope what their obligation was.
Okay, I may just read into it because 20 and 20 equals, and I figured for it, so. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion, questions? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present? Moving on to agenda item number 29, vote to approve an amendment to the Economic Development Administration grant for the Quinnebog Valley Rail Trail improvements to allow for time extension of 420 days from the executed contract with David Roach and Sons, and a budget amendment to move all architectural and engineering and inspection fees funds to construction, allows the town manager to sign all related paperwork.
So moved.
Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Shinya. Discussion. There's no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to agenda item number 30, vote to apply for an energy efficiency conservation block grant to weatherize the Southbridge Police Station at no cost to the town and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Motion by Shinya, seconded by Ortiz. Discussion. If no discussion, Council Dow.
One question. When you say apply for energy efficiency with no cost to the town, is that no cost, but down the road, if we get approved, we have to kind of like pay through some bills, or is no cost at all? Is nothing is gonna come in the future on that bill when they come in?
That's a great point. As you know, we got caught in the middle of for instance, like the Mass EDIP, where initially the contract said we didn't have to obligate any funds, and then it said we were going to be a pass-through. What we're trying to advocate for with these projects, both the town manager and I will say, if it's possible, we don't want to touch any of the funds. All of it goes through the contractor. The incentive goes through the contractor to pay them directly so that it's at no cost to us. So that's how we'll try to set these up. If something changed, we would have to come back to the town.
Okay, so am I come up some additional payment through the contra down the road? Not necessarily we're taking money at that moment and we apply it to that contra, correct?
If I may, through you, Chair, if I heard you correctly, basically it's still a net zero, but we may have to be a pass-through. Is that what you're asking, saying?
No, sometimes they say no cost at all for the person or the town, and then it will be added through the bill as a payback, you know, like a loan through them. That now costs for the town, but in the future you pay the money obviously through the bills.
If I may, through you, this is not one of the pay over time, like the lights, for instance, right? I think the town lights were set up more like that, where we got paid. Actually, no, that's not a good example. Maybe some of the green communities you're thinking of, where they base the incentive savings on your long-term bill savings, but we don't see that math. That's how they base the amount they're going to award the town, is on what the projected savings of the energy bills is. Is that helpful?
Yeah, so technically if there's anything changed, you're going to come back here, correct?
I would hope not.
We will if we have to.
Thank you.
We do not want to, but if we have to, we will.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to Councilors Forum. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only thing that I have is that I was in the Central Street parking lot today, and there's still a lot of garbage laying around. The bins are still there, blocking 2 parking places. It's the Central Street parking lot was specific to try and entice new businesses to come to Southbridge, so it's kind of sad to see the Central Street parking lot looking like that. There's even some bulky items sitting there, some chairs that have been sitting there for a couple of months, and no one's picking them up, and it just is unsightly. And I hate to see the parking lot just start to go downhill like that. Doesn't look good in the center of town. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It took 6 years, but we have a rail trail. And I can't say enough about Peg, about her team. I know she's been already congratulated, but I really want to emphasize this to the people in town, that what started out as a dream through a lot of hard work, of a lot of consternation on the part of various town councils, definitely more than one leap of faith in terms of our voting, and we have a trail, a 5-mile trail. We're not talking 1 mile, we're not talking 2 miles, we're talking 5 miles, one end of town to the other. I'm just really pleased that Southbridge will have this to offer tourists coming into town, and definitely have this as a recreation facility for the townsfolk here to take advantage of. Walk your dogs, go for strolls, bike rides. Definitely something that adds to the character of town, and I can't say enough about that. Why not Southbridge? Thank you.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Chair, through you. Same thing. Thank you for Ms. D and all her team, and everybody work hard to get that trail approved and make it happen. I want to thank the town manager for resolving Mr. Payapi's issue with the bill this morning. And I know you're working hard. There's a lot of new staffs. We're all learning. We're all human too. But sometimes, you know, we should handle it faster and, you know, don't let it get out and lose from our control. There's a lot of, I want to speak a little bit different language, hyenas waiting for a piece of meat. So they're waiting for somebody to not failing, but delaying somewhere to point the finger on. And I know you're doing a great job. I don't agree with you last week when we say the relationship is failing. We're never gonna fail if we stay standing all together. We will work together more stronger, and hopefully we make Southbridge better for all. Thank you.
Councilor Junior.
Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, to Peg Dean, I'm anxious for the bike trail to come through and be finished. I hope I'm still alive that I'll be able to use it. I utilize Southbridge, and it's a great trail, so Southbridge is going to eventually work its way. You're going to be able to go to Thompson, Connecticut, and farther through the Dudley Trail, Southbridge Trail, and the Connecticut trails. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the town manager, normally I would have called you, and I just totally slipped. Have we come to a resolution on opening up the driveway at the senior center where the dumpster is and the rollers? I brought that up about maybe a month and a half ago, and I know we got more pressing things to go than that, but if we could work on that.
Yeah.
And prior to coming to tonight's meeting, I was contacted, Mr. Chairman, again through you to the town manager, from some people from Gulford Road, concerning the swales, the ditches, about who is responsible for cleaning them. If we can come up with something like that and determine who it is, it's the homeowners, the town, or a combination of both. If we could do that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilor Ortiz.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilor Rivas.
Thank you, through you, to Mr. Chair. Just reiterating, on Wednesday afternoons or Wednesday mornings, there is the farmers market on the Central Street Plaza, and Waves Dairy-Free Soft Serve Ice Cream will be there from 11 to 2 during this time, and certainly for any residents that are lactose intolerant or have dietary needs, this is a great service, and I thank Jasmine Quinones for bringing Waves, to Southbridge. I also wanted to mention Stars of the Future, their basketball and handball clinics on Mondays from 6 to 8 p.m. Miguel Rivera and Nancy Ortiz have done an incredible job of bringing this program for our students. When I went there this afternoon, earlier today, there were over 100 kids and parents participating, and it's great to see, kids having activities to do in the evening, not just, they have cops and kids during the day, but having something in the evening for families to do together is really important. I think Mr. Rivera is such an asset to the community and to the school system. This is what we want from our staff, from the school system, to be dedicated to our families and our students, and I think that he is a great example to everyone in our community. I also wanted to shout out Wellstorm Inc. For the Girl Scout cookies that I gave to everyone, thanks to Wellstorm. I also wanted to thank the town manager when you talked about the CBD grant for North Street and Mechanic Street. Those are areas that have really needed road repairs for a long time, and I'm glad to see that we're working in those areas. It does remind me of Henry Street, which is always on my mind, and just thinking about the business owner from Finally Lisa's who came in and talked about the trash and some of the vandalism where it deterred some of her clients. So I was curious about any follow-up with that.
I know I have referred it to inspections and the like, so I'll follow up and get a report back.
Great, thank you. I also wanted to express, just hearing from Pam Paquin about, the permitting and the planning board, and certainly reiterating that we always want to have a fair playing field for all of our businesses and all of the processes that, we want to welcome businesses into our community. We want to be sure to be fair to everyone. People do talk, and we don't want to appear that we're favoring one business over another. I love the Italian Club. My family grew up going there. We had all of our parties and everything at the Italian Club, and I love, that business. But it is important to be equitable and to follow, for everyone to follow the process. I also was disappointed in, tonight's result around the grant in regards to public health. I didn't see harm in continuing and getting more information. I do appreciate Councillor Kelly's questions around the contract. I just think that there are issues that I wish I would have known that we had a public health nurse through this agreement when I worked at UInc in the teen pregnancy prevention program, because I could have used those services as someone who worked in social services, providing services to our families here. Those issues don't go away, and they're not going to go away. We do have to service our community and help people that are struggling. There is a lot of cases of hoarding. We do have a lot of seniors that are struggling in our community, and I hope that in the future we can revisit this issue and, try to bring this agreement back for reconsideration. Thank you.
Councilor Kelly? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Just in regards to the previous speaker's comment about equity, I can assure you we treat everybody equitably, just for the public. There are a lot more issues ongoing with that whole circumstance that I wasn't going to engage a dialogue with the resident at this time. So there's a lot of underlying factors that go into decisions that we make. But I've always, and I think everybody that's heard from me, everybody is treated the same. So I can assure you that that's the case. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilor Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Just want to again thank Peg Dean for this rail trail. It is going to be a great community enhancement. I'm excited about it. All the people that did some great work on this well before my time. But this is one project that shows that Southbridge is moving forward. We also have a number of road projects that were recently completed and more road projects moving forward. These are signs that our town is coming back, and I'm glad to be a part of that. Thank you.
Councilor Montague, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do not have anything tonight.
Moving on to 32, discuss next meeting day.
Yeah.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. The discussion of the next meeting date is Monday, August 5th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers.
Agenda item number 33, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Senior, seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.